1, 2, is this on?
Wrestling fans have gone back and forth on the two greatest eras in WWE history. Fans still have a strong nostalgia for both eras of wrestling. The Attitude Era lasted from about 1997 to 2001. The Ruthless Aggression Era lasted from 2002 to 2008, with many fans having more of a focus on great wrestling. While both had their moments, the Ruthless Aggression Era always seems like it is talked about less in wrestling circles. But in this video, we break down both eras into 8 key areas of discussion and determine which era takes the crown. So without further ado, let's get into it. Number 1, star power. What really separated the Attitude Era from the rest was the tremendous star power. Austin, Rock, Triple H and DX, The Undertaker, Kane, Kurt Angle, and Mick Foley. I mean, the star power of Stone Cold and The Rock alone made the Attitude Era stand out above others. Attitude Era fans were spoiled by having 2 faces of the company compared to 1. The Ruthless Aggression Era forced WWE's hand to build new talents from scratch. Stone Cold retiring due to injury and The Rock leaving for Hollywood exposed WWE's depth. Projects like John Cena, Brock Lesnar, Randy Orton and Batista completely changed the dynamic. Although these were all great, they just can't match the star power in the Attitude Era. Attitude Era 1, Ruthless Aggression Era 0. Number 2, deep roster. In the Attitude Era, only 3 guys made up the bulk of the main event scene: Stone Cold, The Rock, and Triple H. While others did reach the main event scene, they never really lasted very long. Guys like Kurt Angle, The Undertaker, and even Mick Foley were in the scene for a matter of months, and guys like Owen Hart and Chris Benoit weren't given the push many feel that they deserved back then. The Ruthless Aggression Era didn't have the top level star power as the Attitude Era, but the roster was significantly deeper. We even had the chance to witness the evolution of talents like Randy Orton, John Cena, and Batista. The main event scene started to constantly change. Guys like Brock Lesnar, Kurt Angle, Big Show, Eddie Guerrero, Edge, RVD, Chris Benoit, Booker T, JBL, and Rey Mysterio were given main event pushes throughout the years. For the most part, nobody stayed in the main event scene for too long, with the exception of Triple H, and in later years, John Cena. But new faces kept coming in, keeping it fresh throughout the era. For this reason, the Ruthless Aggression Era takes it here. Attitude Era 1, Ruthless Aggression Era 1. Number 3, competition and ratings. WWE's timing of the Attitude Era may have saved the company from falling apart, as WCW surpassed them in the ratings war for the Monday night shows. This competition brought out the best and made wrestling must-see. The ratings peaked during the Attitude Era, with Raw and SmackDown bringing in millions of viewers. WWE's best ratings in the late 90s would more than double some of their shows on television today, with many more casual viewers. However, having no competition wasn't a problem in the Ruthless Aggression Era because of the brand split. The brand split forced both the Raw and SmackDown rosters to step up their game. Raw and SmackDown had their own unique rosters to create a level of competition missing from the wrestling business after WCW ended. SmackDown was arguably the hit, with Paul Heyman's vision leading the product to stronger results. And the talent was undeniable, especially with the SmackDown 6 of Edge, Rey Mysterio, Kurt Angle, Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero, and Chavo Guerrero. However, overall, the viewers started to decline as the wrestling industry fell off out of the spotlight compared to the late 90s. Any argument for the Attitude Era being the best must mention the ratings for television. So in this category, the Attitude Era has to take it. Attitude Era 2, Ruthless Aggression Era 1. Number 4, matches. The Attitude Era pay-per-views usually had 1 or 2 standout matches per show. There were some great ones in there, such as Austin Rock at WrestleMania 17, Triple H Cactus Jack at Royal Rumble 2000, Austin Triple H at No Way Out 2001, and TLC 2 at WrestleMania 17. But overall, it wasn't known as being amazing for wrestling. However, during the Ruthless Aggression Era, fans were getting spoiled by the higher level of competition. There are certainly more Ruthless Aggression matches that fans would go out of their way to watch than in the Attitude Era. The quality of the in-ring work improved dramatically in the Ruthless Aggression Era. Talents like Kurt Angle, Eddie Guerrero, and Chris Benoit became bigger parts of the show with outstanding matches. Newer stars joined the company, with the core of Brock Lesnar, Randy Orton, and Rey Mysterio taking it to another level. The winner in this category has to be the Ruthless Aggression Era. Attitude Era 2, Ruthless Aggression Era 2. Number 5, stories. We know the Attitude Era for its insane drama.
It's me, Austin! Oh, son of a bitch!
While the Ruthless Aggression Era focused on making stories that stayed more realistic and less controversial, minus the Katie Vick angle and the Lita pregnancy angle. Oh, and also that storyline where Vince McMahon wanted to go up against God. But we'll leave that to one side for now. In the Attitude Era, you had the great Austin McMahon feud, Austin Rock, Triple H Cactus Jack, Hart Michaels, Corporate Ministry, Undertaker Kane. They were longer lasting and arguably more dramatic.
Where to, Stephanie?
Austin, holy shit! The game's in that car!
In the Ruthless Aggression Era, you had Taker Orton, Batista Triple H, Angle Lesnar, Edge Cena, DX McMahon's, Guerrero Mysterio. WWE started to utilize elements of reality in the Ruthless Aggression Era to separate themselves from the Attitude Era. Evolution worked because the story showed the reality of a top star trying to maintain that power, an older veteran wanting to associate with greatness, and two younger talents trying to make their names.
Nothing can stop us from making history.
SmackDown referenced the legitimate backstory of Eddie Guerrero overcoming personal demons during his rise to the top of WWE.
It's a different kind of high tonight for Eddie Guerrero!
Also over on Raw, we saw the love triangle of Edge, Lita, and Matt Hardy play out for the world to see.
Adam, you've been married and divorced multiple times before you were 30 years old. I think that speaks volumes right there.
I think it speaks volumes that you've had one serious relationship by the time you're 30.
So overall, we have these on a level par for different reasons. In the Attitude Era, you cared more about the main stories, but it was also let down by some really bad story decisions filtered in. And in the Ruthless Aggression Era, there seemed to be better character development for more superstars. So in this category, it's a tie. Attitude Era 3, Ruthless Aggression Era 3. Number 6, Unpredictability. The Attitude Era was so unpredictable, you really had to tune in every week to see what would happen. OMFG moments constantly. Wrestling promotions need to keep a product unpredictable, but they shouldn't put too much effort into that if it sacrifices the overall story. There were occasions where the Attitude Era did get a bit too wild with some swerves that went poorly or hurt the long-term future.
I did it for The Rock.
I did it for The Rock. I did it. Shut your mouth, you thong-wearing fatty.
However, the better moments were pivotal for the overall success. Fans reacted with genuine happiness at Mick Foley winning the WWE Championship for the first time since it was never expected. Even the mid-card picture and tag division had consistent changes and curveballs to keep the audience on their toes instead of growing stagnant. Again, the Ruthless Aggression Era had its moments, but it can't be compared with the unpredictability of the Attitude Era. Attitude Era 4, Ruthless Aggression Era 3. Number 7, use of women. In the Attitude Era, with the exception of China, women were largely hired just because of sex appeal and not ability.
This is for all the women who want to be me and for the men who come to see me.
During the Ruthless Aggression Era, WWE finally realized that fans want to see women who could actually wrestle. In the Attitude Era, Trish Stratus wasn't necessarily a star. She'd had a couple of notable moments and showed signs of improvement in the ring, but nothing to distinguish her from the rest of the model-turned-wrestlers. Come to the Ruthless Aggression Era, she had some intense feuds with the likes of Jazz, Molly Holly, Victoria, and eventually Lita, culminating in a match in the main event of Raw. Although it wasn't as pushed as it is today, as there were still bikini contests, bra and panties matches, and the awful Raw Diva search. But overall, the Ruthless Aggression Era definitely improved on the Attitude Era in terms of the use of women. Of course, depending on what you're into. The winner in this category, Ruthless Aggression Era. Attitude Era 4, Ruthless Aggression Era 4. And the final category, number 8, crowds. One of the greatest aspects of the Attitude Era was how excited the crowd atmosphere was. Every episode of Raw, SmackDown, and especially the pay-per-views saw the top faces receiving massive pops and the heels being greeted with even louder, vulgar chants. The pop of Stone Cold making his way to the ring every week was something only fans of the Attitude Era could have experienced. Hulk Hogan, John Cena, and top stars from other eras couldn't even compare to the top stars of the Attitude Era due to the environment. The Ruthless Aggression Era had its moments, but nothing that could top the consistency of the Attitude Era. The The winner in this final category is the Attitude Era. So overall, with a tally of 5-4, the Attitude Era has to take it here, just because it was the best time to be watching as a fan. Raw was the be-all and end-all, and Nitro was a good alternative for the most part. After that, Raw and SmackDown weren't and never have been on equal footing. It was the most successful time in WWE history. The storylines, characters, and roster were perfect, and everyone had a purpose on the show. Although the Ruthless Aggression Era had a good balance achieved between quality adult stories and an excellent level about the ring, it was the Attitude Era which brought wrestling back to the mainstream and was something new at the time. The Ruthless Aggression Era gradually saw that mainstream press dying up. It seems that the Ruthless Aggression Era is looked upon more fondly in hindsight rather than at the time, now that we've seen the huge careers that the stars in that era have gone on to have. It ultimately led us to going into the PG era, but we'll save our opinions on that for another day. But that brings us to the end of this video. As always, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to the channel. And if you like this video, be sure to check out our comparison of HBK in the 90s compared to the 2000s. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time.